Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well today. It's been a long time since my last video, and as I was saying in the previous week, actually I have written a book about iOS Swift programming, but in French, for French people who want to learn through a book. So it's a more than 600 pages book. So if you guys want to learn deeper the Swift iOS programming, you can go and check this out. But as I was saying before, it's in French, okay? So in today's lesson, we're going to work with SwiftUI buttons, labels, and gradient, okay? So you have to know that buttons initiate app-specific actions, have customizable backgrounds, and can include a title or an icon, okay? So the system provides a number of predefined button styles for most use cases, but you can also design fully custom buttons. So as I was saying before, a button is a very basic UI control that you can find in all apps and has the ability to handle users' touch and trigger a certain action. If you have learned iOS programming before, button in SwiftUI is very similar to UI button in UIKit. It's just more flexible and customizable, okay? You will understand what I mean in a while. In this lesson, I will go through with you this SwiftUI control, and you are going to learn the following techniques. So the first one will be how to create a simple button and handle the user's selection. Then how to customize the button's background padding and font. Then how to add borders to a button. Then how to create a button with both image and text. Then how to create a button with a gradient background and shadows. And finally, how to create a full width button and how to create a reusable button style, okay? And at the end, we will see how to add a tap animation just like this one, okay? Cool. So, okay, let's start with the basic and create a simple button using SwiftUI. First, fire up Xcode, okay, and create a new Xcode project, okay? Using the app template. So let me quickly resize this window. Okay, perfect. Here you are going to select this one. Then in the next screen, type the name of the project. I set it to Swift UI button en, okay, for the English version of this course, but you are free to use any other name, okay? All you need to ensure is select SwiftUI for the interface option, okay? And basically you can simply let the other options as they are, okay? And click next, okay? Then you are going to create and save your project into any folder of your Mac, okay? Once you save the project, Xcode should load the content view.swift file and display a preview in the design canvas, okay? In case the preview is not displayed, you can click the resume button in the canvas, okay? But so I'm going to shut down the simulator for the moment, okay, and enlarge this window just like that, okay? Cool. So here you're going to select, so okay, iPhone 12 Pro Max, okay, and here you can press on resume. Okay, cool. So as you can see, this is the preview in the canvas. Okay, perfect. So it's very easy to create a button using SwiftUI. Basically, you can use the code below to create a button. Okay, so here you can simply delete that. Okay, and right button, it's like that, okay, open parentheses, select this one, okay, okay, here okay, just like that, okay. So here you can write this a comment, okay, what to perform, okay, and here how the button looks like, okay, as simple as it is, okay, cool. So when creating button, you need to provide two code blocks, okay. So the first one here, what to perform, the code to perform after the button is tapped or selected by the user, okay. Then how the button looks like, the code block that describes the look and feel of the button, okay. For example, if you just want to turn the hello world label into a button, you can update the code like this. So here you can write print, okay, hello world tapped, okay, and here text hello world, okay, cool. So now the hello world text becomes a tapeable button, as you can see in the canvas, okay, here. The button is now non-tappable in the design canvas. To test it, click the play button here, okay, to run the app. However, in order to view the hello world tapped message, you have to right click the play button and then choose debug preview, okay. You will see the message on the console when you tap the button. If you can't see the console, go up to the Xcode menu and choose view, okay, here, debug area, and activate console, okay, it's like that, cool. But as you can see, I don't know why, but we can't see the message with the canvas, but when you launch the simulator, okay, when I tap on the button, as you can see, it appears, it shows in the console, okay. So perfect, we are good to go. Now that you should know how to create a simple button, let's see how to customize its look and feel with the built-in modifiers, okay. So you can here hide the debug area, okay, we don't need it anymore. Say you want to change the background and text color, you can use the background and foreground color modifiers like this, okay. So here simply write background, okay. You can write color.yellow, for instance, okay, and here foreground color black, okay, cool. So if you want to change the font type, you further use the font modifiers and specify the font type, okay, like this. So here, for instance, font just like that, okay, and as you can see, the text goes bigger, okay. After the change, your button should look like this one, cool. As you can see, the button doesn't look very good. Wouldn't it be great to add some space around the text? To do that, you can use the padding modifier like this. So here, okay, cool. So after you made the change, the canvas should update the button accordingly. The button should now look much better, okay? One thing I want to highlight is that the padding modifier should be placed before the background modifier, okay, here in the first line. If you write the code like below, the end result will be different. For instance, if I write this line rather here, okay. If you place the padding modifier after the background modifier, you can still add some paddings to the button, but without the preferred background color. If you wonder why, you can read the modifiers like this. So here it says change the background color to yellow. Okay, here set the foreground font color to black. Okay, here it says change the font type. Okay, and finally here add the padding with the primary color, means black. Okay, conversely, the modifiers will work like this if the padding modifier is placed before the background modifier. Okay, so if I take that and put it here, okay, then it means add the paddings, okay, then change the background color to yellow, including the padding. Here set the foreground font color to black, and finally here change the font type. Okay, it doesn't mean the padding modifier should always place at the very beginning. Okay, it just depends on your button design. Let's say you want to create a button with borders with the same color than the foreground color. Okay, you can change the code of the text control like this one. Okay, so here you can write foreground color yellow. Okay, here font will be title, then padding, and then border color dot yellow, and width will be 5, for instance. Okay, just like that. Okay, here we set the foreground color to yellow and then add some empty paddings around the text. The border modifier is used to define the border's width and color. Please feel free to alter the value of the width parameter to see how it works. Okay, so let me give you another example. Let's say a designer shows you the following button design. First of all, I'm going to give you the code to see it. Okay, so font weight will be bold. Okay, then font will be title, then padding, then background color, background, okay, color dot yellow. Okay, foreground color will be black, padding will be 10, okay, and border will be color dot yellow, and the width will be 5, just like that. Okay, cool. So we use two padding modifiers to create the button design. The first padding together with the background modifier is for creating a button, okay, with padding and yellow background. The padding 10 modifier adds extra paddings around the button, and the border modifier specifies to paint a rounded border in yellow. Okay, so let's see a more complex example. What if you want to design the button with rounded borders? Okay, so you have to know that SwiftUI comes with a modifier named corner radius that lets you easily create rounded corners. Okay, for the border with rounded corners, it will take a little bit of work since the border modifier doesn't allow you to create rounded corners. So what we need to do is to draw a border and overlay it on the button. Okay, here is the final code. So here you can write between background and foreground color corner radius, okay, with a value of 40. Okay, then here you can delete this line and rather use the overlay modifier. Okay, I think this one will work. So rounded rectangle, okay, corner radius, the value will be 40. Okay, and here stroke, you can write color dot yellow and line width, the value will be 5. Okay, cool. So as you can see, this is our design. The overlay modifier lets you overlay another view on top of the current view. In the code, what we did was to draw a border with rounded corners using the stroke modifier of the rounded rectangle object. The stroke modifier allows you to configure the color and line width of the stroke. Okay, so far we only work with text buttons. In a real world project, you or your designer may want to display a button with an image. Okay, the syntax of creating an image button is exactly the same, except that you use the image control instead of the text control like this. So here you can write image system name, okay, here square and pencil, for instance. Okay, font will be large title, and the foreground color will be, for instance, blue. Okay, just like that. So for convenience, we use the built-in SF symbols, okay, here the square and pencil. To create the image button, we specify to use large title in the font modifier to make the image a bit larger. Okay, your button should look like this one. Okay, cool. So if you want, we can change it by green. Okay, just like that. Similarly, if you want to create a circular image button with a solid background color, you can apply the modifiers we discussed earlier. Okay, the only thing you have to do is to change your code like this. So first of all, add some paddings. Okay, then here write background just like that. Okay, color dot green. Okay, then clip shape. Okay, circle, and here the foreground color, we're going to change it just like that. Okay, perfect. Okay, you can use both text and image to create a button. Say you want to put the word edit next to the icon, replace the code like this. Okay, so here we can write edit tabbed, okay, for the console, but it's not compulsory. Then what we're going to do is to rewrite totally the code. I think it will be much easier, so you can delete that and write at stack, okay, open curly brackets, and call an image, okay, it's like that, system name, okay. We said, I think it was square and pencil, okay. Font will be title, then text will be edit, okay. Font weight will be semi-bold, okay, and then the font will be title as well, okay, cool. Then we're going to give some modifiers to the add stack, okay. So here you can write paddings, okay, then foreground color white, okay, then background will be color dot green, okay, and finally corner radius with the value of 40, okay, perfect. Here we embed both the image and the text control in a horizontal stack. This will lay out the square and pencil icon and the edit text side by side, okay? The modifiers apply to the add stack set the background color, paddings, and round the buttons corners, okay? In iOS 14, the SwiftUI framework introduces a new view called Label that lets you place an image and text side by side. Thus, instead of using add stack, you can use Label to create the same layout, okay? So here you can write rather label, okay, this one, okay, yes. So for title we're going to write here edit, okay. We're going to rewrite font weight with the value of semi-bold, okay. Font will be title, okay. Then for the icon, square and pencil, okay. Then here we can write font with the value of title, okay, cool. Then here you can simply write padding, it's like that, foreground color with a value of white, then background will be color dot green, okay, and finally corner radius with a value of 40. So as you can see, we get the same result but with a different approach, okay, cool. So with SwiftUI, you can easily style the button with gradient background, okay? Not only can you use a specific color to the background modifier, you can easily apply a gradient effect for any buttons. All you need to do is to replace the following line with, let me show you, okay, here you are going to call a linear gradient object. Okay, here you can press enter. As you can see already, without any changes for the moment so far on that modifier, we already have a gradient design, okay? So the SwiftUI framework comes with several built-in gradient effects. The code above applies a linear gradient from left leading, okay, to right trailing. It begins with red on the left and ends with blue on the right, okay? So if you want to apply the gradient from top to bottom, you can change the line of code like this. So here top, and here bottom. Okay, cool. You're free to use your own colors to render the gradient effect. Let's say your designer tells you to use the following gradient. Okay, so this one. So as you can see, you can go on that website, UI Gradients, and it has a lot of gradient design. Very great. So I'm going to use this one. Okay. And here you have to just take these values. But let me show you first. Okay. There are multiple ways to convert the color code from X to the compatible format in Swift. Here I'm going to show one of the approaches in the project navigator. Okay, choose the asset catalog, this one, right click the blank area under app icon and select color set. Okay, just like that. Next, choose the color well for any appearance. Okay, here, and click the show inspector button. Just like that. Okay, then click the attributes inspector icon to reveal the attributes of a color set. Okay, in the name field here, set the name to dark red, just like that. Okay, press enter. Okay, in the color section, change the input here method to 8-byte hexadecimal. Here, yes, this here. Okay, just like that. Now you can set the color code in the X field. Okay, here for this demo, enter so this one, copied. Okay, press enter. Okay, perfect. To define the color. Okay, repeat the procedures to define another color set for the other one. Okay, so here color sets. Okay, here we're going to rename it light red. Press enter. Okay, and I'm just going to change here the input method to this one, and finally simply copied this value. Okay, and put it here. Okay, paste, enter, perfect. Now that we have defined two color sets, let's go back to content view.swift. Okay, and update the code. To use the color set, you just need to specify the name of the color. Okay, so therefore to render the gradient with the dark red and light red color sets, all we need is update the background modifier like this. So here, okay, color, then open parentheses and dark red, just like that. Okay, and here you do the same, color, open parentheses, light red. Okay, perfect. And here we can put leading and here trailing. Okay, cool. If you've made the change correctly, your button should have a nice gradient background as shown here. Okay, press on the resume button to see. Okay, perfect, to see the changes. There is one more modifier I want to show you in this section. The shadow modifier allows you to draw a shadow around the button or any views. Okay, just add this line of code after the corner radius modifier and see the result. Okay, so here shadow with a radius value of 5. Okay, perfect. Optionally, you can control the color, radius and position of the shadow. Here is the sample code. Okay, so here okay, give some other values. here you can write 20. Okay, it's like that. Perfect. Bigger buttons usually grab user attention. Sometimes you may need to create a full width button that takes up the width of the screen. Okay, the frame modifier is designed to let you control the size of a view, whether you want to create a fixed size button or a button with variable width. You can make use of this modifier. To create a full width button, you can change the button code like this. So here we're going to change it again. Okay, so you can write add stack. Okay, image will be system name. Okay, square and pencil. Okay, font will be again title. Then the text will be edit. Okay, with a font weight with semi-bold. Okay, then font will be title. Okay, here you can write frame open parenthesis minimum width. Okay, will be 0. Then max width will be infinity. Okay, padding, foreground color will be white. Okay, and here background will be linear gradient. Okay, here you can write dark red, just like that. Here you can write light red. Okay, perfect. And finally, just give a corner radius value of 40. Okay, perfect. So the code is very similar to the one we just wrote before, except that we added the frame modifier before padding. Okay, here we define a flexible width for the button. We set the max width parameter to infinity. That means the button will fill the width of the container view. In the canvas, it should now show you a full width button, just like this one. Okay, so by defining max width to infinity, the width of the button will be adjusted automatically depending on the screen width of the device. If you want to give the button some more horizontal spaces, insert a padding modifier after the corner radius. Here horizontal and 20. Cool. So you have to know that in a real world app, the same button design will be utilized in multiple buttons. Let's say you're creating 3 buttons, delete, edit, and share, that all have the same button style. Okay, so instead of rewriting all these lines for each button, SwiftUI provides a protocol called button style for you to create your own button style. Okay, to create reusable style for our buttons, we create a new structure called gradient background style that conforms to the button style protocol. Insert the following code snippet and put it right above the structure content previews. Okay, so here, okay, gradient background style to be type of button style. Okay, open curly brackets. Here we are going to create function make body. Okay, okay, so configuration, here you can write self dot configuration. Okay, and here configuration dot label. Okay, and basically you can rather copy paste all these lines. Okay, so copy. Okay, just like that. The protocol requires us to provide the implementation of the makeBody function that accepts a parameter configuration. Okay, the configuration parameter includes a label property that you can apply the modifiers to change the button style. In the code above, we just apply the same set of modifiers that we used before. So how can we apply the custom style to a button? SwiftUI provides a modifier called button style for us to apply the button style like this. Okay, so here we can simply change it by button style here and read just like that. Okay, cool, right? The code is now simplified and we can easily apply the button style to any buttons with just one line of code. Okay, okay, cool, right? The code is now simplified and we can easily apply the button style to any buttons with just one line of code. So what I'm going to do is first of all to create a VStack, okay, and then cut rather this button and copy it twice, okay, in order to have 3 buttons, and I'm going simply to change the title. Okay, so here it will be delete. Okay, here it's going to be trash. Okay, here I'm going to let it like that, and here I can write here, square and arrow dot up. Okay, for the last button is going to be share, just like that. Okay, and here you can write share as well. Okay, cool. Okay, you can also determine if the button is pressed by accessing the is pressed properties of the configuration. This allows you to alter the style of the button when the user taps on it. For example, let's say we want to make the button a bit smaller. When someone presses down the button, you can add a line of code like this. Here, scale effect, okay, configuration, okay, dot is pressed. Okay, we check this property, and according to the answer we give one of these 2 values. Okay, so the scale effect modifier lets you scale up or down a button and any views. To scale up the button, you pass a value greater than 1. A value less than 1 can make the button smaller. Okay, so what the line of code does is that it scales down the button, meaning 0.9 when the button is pressed, and scales back to its original size, meaning 1 when the user lifts the finger. Okay, if you run the app now, you should see a nice animation when the button is scaled up and down. This is the power of SwiftUI. You don't need to write any extra line of code, and it comes with a built-in animation. Okay, just like that. Here, when I press any of these buttons, you can see that it scales down, okay, when pressed. So that's all for this lesson. We covered the basics of creating buttons in SwiftUI. Buttons, as said before, play a key role in mobile interface, or to be exact, in any application UI. Okay, well-designed buttons not only make your UI more appealing, but would bring the user experience of your app to the next level. Okay, as you have learned by mixing SF symbols, gradients and animations together, you can now easily build an attractive and useful button. Okay guys, so that's all for today's lesson. Thank you very much. give it a thumbs up and see you in the next lesson. Bye bye.